Hello, I thought I'd do a bit of a different video today. In case you hadn't noticed, I'm really far behind with the vlogs right now, and I will be catching up, but just quite slowly. So yeah, I thought I'd do this as a bit of a change because last week we were in Myanmar from the 13th to the 19th of November, and I thought instead of waiting maybe like probably a month or two until the vlog came out to see it, I would give you some thoughts and stuff like that now, because I know a few of my friends are actually going kind of over Christmas time and that sort of thing, and have already sort of asked me a few questions about it. So I thought I'd just kind of like gather everything that we experienced together into one video, and then the vlog will come like later on. So it felt like a really exciting time to be in Myanmar. It's a country that's changing really quickly, and while those changes aren't always like necessarily obvious right to begin with, when you sort of talk to people, you find out how it used to be, and it's really interesting. And we went to a traveller bar where one of the owners had been living in Myanmar since 2007, and he told us that in Yangon, where this bar was, there was only 4 hours of electricity a day, like a few years back, and now it's like pretty much 24/7. And it's just things like that. It's like exciting, it's new, it felt quite special to be there, and I felt like quite a lot of the other travellers and tourists that we met felt the same, that like it's kind of undiscovered, it's not a massive tourist trap, and it's just something quite new and exciting. And there is this feeling that like in a couple of years' time, if you come back, it's going to be completely different. We met a few travellers who had friends that had been and like were desperate to come back and see like how it is now, and I totally understand that because I already want to go back and see like the changes and like discover more of it and all that kind of thing. We obviously stood out quite a lot as tourists in Myanmar, but it was really nice in that it wasn't like people were staring at us, it was more that they were like looking at us, they were interested, they were happy that we were there. The partner in the bar that we went to actually told us that there's sort of a mentality that like if they're good then visitors will come, so there was this real feeling that like they were so happy to have us there and like really ready to help us with like anything we had problems with, which we experienced in Bagan when we rented bikes. We got lost quite a bit, but everyone was really like eager to like point us in the right direction and like show us where to go and all that kind of thing. Which was really nice. It was a great feeling to not feel like just another tourist that they just want to sell stuff to kind of thing. Me and Cassie booked to go to Myanmar just over a week before we actually left, so there were a few things that we maybe didn't quite understand about Myanmar, such as like the currency. Of everything we read online said US dollars, but when we got there we realised that actually they do sort of deal with the Kyat quite a lot, and people sort of looked at our US dollars in a really funny way. Like some of them probably hadn't seen US dollars before from the looks we were getting. And changing money over there is possible, but with the US dollars they want them to be completely perfect, as some people put their savings into US dollars. So we were told that changing money is probably easiest to have euros in Myanmar and change it that way. Which is just something that like we wouldn't probably have found out apart from when we were there, so that was fine. In terms of our visa, we just applied online. It was really easy. It was $50 for the visa, and it lasts you up to 28 days. And if I was going back, or to anyone that's going, I would recommend go for as much of those 28 days as you can. We met quite a few people who were sort of like 28 days isn't even enough. And we're kind of like upset that they couldn't stay longer. So definitely go for as long as you can. In terms of the visa, as I say, we applied online. It was processed within a week, I think, and then we just got an email which we printed out, and that was us. Went through border control, no problem. Myanmar is still quite conservative in the way it's dressed. Me and Cassie just wore long trousers the whole week, and for the most part had our shoulders covered as well. We went to quite a lot of temples and that kind of thing, and you needed to be dressed like that for the temples anyway, so we ended up just dressing like that all week, and we basically fitted in with the locals. They seemed to be dressing in a very similar way The men actually had these skirts that were basically big like loops of fabric which they would tie in the front. And that seemed to be what the majority of the local men was wearing, which was something new that I hadn't seen before, but it was pretty cool. And obviously for the temples as well, you have to take off your shoes before you can go inside. So we wore shoes that you could slip on and off fairly easily. I'd say that's probably something just to keep in mind, like you don't want to have to be faffing around with lots of straps and that kind of thing. But in terms of communicating with people, most people we talked to spoke like at least a little bit of English, and those that didn't, we weren't doing anything so complicated that we couldn't just like point to something. We didn't really have any problems communicating with people at all really, so that was really good actually. This video ended up being a lot longer than I expected it to be, so there's actually a part 2 to this in which I tell you sort of the stories and what we got up to in Yangon and Bagan. So if you want to see that, just click on the link at the end. And thanks for watching this one. Bye! And we also saw them putting in some telephone lines, which I got really excited about. I don't know why, I've just never seen telephone lines being put down before.